What's up YouTube? It's Adam here. This guy right here is getting an upgraded tank today, and I want to make a video to show you how I'm going to do it and give you a brief review of some of the products I'm using. So here's the man of the hour, Mr. Beardy. He's having a little bit of a shed today, so it's actually probably a good day to do this, but we've got him back in February. He was about 4 inches long, and being new reptile owners, we were kind of told that you should not keep them on any kind of loose substrate. They recommended, something like paper towels or this Repti carpet that we got here. So I didn't really like the look of paper towels at the bottom of his cage, so I got him a Repti carpet. And we've been keeping him on that since then, but now it's about 4 or 5 months later. He's around a foot long. He's growing like crazy. Look at that belly sticking out. Ain't Beardy. He's been growing good, and I think it's time that he gets a little bit of an upgrade in his tank. So here's his setup now. I got that aloe plant back there that is just about dead. I don't have a grow light in here or anything, but I did pot it in some soil, and it's been doing pretty well. You see the log that he's sitting on right now. He does use that a little bit, but I don't know if you can tell with the video, but this wood is like really kind of slippery and hard. And even with those sharp claws he has, it's really hard for him to climb up that. So I was not too impressed with that thing. Got him a hide here, which he never really seems to use except at nighttime. He sleeps in there every now and then. And then of course the hammock. We had some people we ran into at the pet store, and we were asking them how they set up, and they said you absolutely have to get a hammock. And I tell you what, that's the best thing we could have bought, because he uses that all the time. Like, he'd sleep up there some nights. We started putting him down when his lights go off just so he finds somewhere else to sleep, so he's not there all the time. But he loves his hammock, and for the most part, he kind of chills there. Every now and then we'll put in some like mint or basil plants, and he loves eating those. But to be honest with you, he doesn't really use a lot of his cage. He just kind of chills around the heat source there. So part of the reason for the upgrade today is I just want to give him a little bit more variety in his cage. I like to give him more of structures that he can climb on, and we're going to be putting him on a loose substrate, something that he can dig in. So some of the products I'm going to be using here, I got these creek stones up at my parents' place. Those are all natural. I power washed them, cleaned them off real nicely, and then baked them in the oven for about 2 hours at 250. I also found some nice sticks. They look like driftwood, but they were basically river sticks. Kind of did the same with those. Washed them off real good and baked them. And for the substrate, I'm going to be using Eco Earth, which I bought in the brick form and did the whole water thing because it was cheaper that way. And we'll get into a little more of that now, but it's mostly dry. It's a little bit of moisture in it yet, but for the most part I got it about as dry as I think I can. And of course we got a new forest theme background there that we're going to use. So it is going to look completely different here, and I think he's going to like it. But just on the Repti carpet, I must say we've been pretty happy with it. Some of the cons I hear people saying is it's really hard to keep clean, and sometimes their nails can kind of get stuck in it. And I've actually heard of them sort of breaking toes off and stuff like that. I haven't had any issues with that at all. We actually put a little bit of newspaper in over here on this side, and he actually is like potty trained. Like, he poops on that every time at the same spot, like right there. And all we do is take the paper towels or the newspaper out, and there's really no spots or anything. We do have like a disinfectant spray that we'll use just to, you know, touch it up every now and then. But for the most part, this lasts about a good month before we have to really take it out and wash it off. Now you can see a little bit of the calcium powder there. I mean, he's definitely due for a cleanup today, so it's this is time to change out. But I kind of vacuumed it up, and every week or two I kind of go through and vacuum everything up. But we change the pad like once a month, and I have another pad that I put in, and then we kind of wash it. Now washing it is pretty annoying because you really gotta scrub it good with some soap to get all that powder and, you know, some of the stains off. But you know, we haven't had any of those issues where we have to take it out a couple times a week or anything. So I highly recommend the Repti carpet for when they're young. But I did notice a little bit with the nails now. He's starting to get some pretty long, sharp nails because he's getting big. I did notice he kind of walks on a little funny sometimes. Like his nails are kind of like digging into it. So it could potentially become an issue later in his life. But for now, it's been serving its purpose quite well. And I would certainly recommend this product. And I'm going to hang on to it just in case this Eco Earth does not work out, because I can always go back to this. So Eco Earth, kind of one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because I haven't had a lot of information on Eco Earth as to whether or not it's good or bad. Obviously you have very polarizing opinions on substrate, and some of the pros I've heard is it's very good for digging, which I'd love to give this guy something to dig in, which is primarily the reason I wanted to give it to him. Some of the cons are it can be a little dusty when it's dry, or if you keep it kind of moist, it raises the humidity level up in the tank, which you want the humidity as low as possible, like 20 to 30%. We're up in a northeastern United States, so we get very humid up here in the summertime. So right now we're sitting around 43%. You can see there. That does not get much below 40, even with the Repti carpet. So I will be curious to see how this affects the humidity when I put this in. And this is just a trial experiment, so if it doesn't work out, I'll take it back out and try something else. But I'm not too worried about impaction. The more I'm reading about impaction, the more I'm learning that the substrate has very little to do with it. It actually depends more on the diet and the heat and things like that, the other husbandry things. A lot of the people that aren't doing those things right are the dragons that are getting impacted as well. So there's lots of breeders and lots of people that have scientific know-how that are actually keeping them on natural loose substrates, and they support those and have not had any impaction issues with them whatsoever, but they're also taking care of their lizards very well. So here's my setup. It's a 40-gallon, 36 by 18 by 18. This is the ZooMed. It's a ZooMed kit. It was a starter kit. And so we're going to take this stuff out and give him some different terrain to roam around on. And I think it's just really going to enrich him, give him more stuff to do, hopefully get him over into the other side of the tank every now and then, because he'll find something he wants to do over there. I'm actually thinking I'm going to move his hammock over. So if he really likes his hammock that much, he can still use it, but he's going to have to crawl over there to get to it. And then I have a fresh mint plant I'm probably going to plop in there just to give him something to munch on every now and then. So let's get started. Let's take this old setup out and we'll get his new setup going. So I made a few changes a little bit. I wanted to have some room over here for his food dish and stuff, but here's what I came up with. Here's Beardy. He's excited. He wants to see his new cage. There you go, bub. Check it out. He's thinking, where's my hammock? But yeah. So I have about 3 inches of substrate on the one side. It's about 3 inches of substrate on the far side there. Over here. And it's quite a bit less over here. I got Beardy chilling on his rock up here. So he's got, you know, some sticks he can go up on. He's got a little cave underneath that he can sleep at night, and the rocks should keep him pretty warm. So we're sitting at about 107 degrees on there, and of course he can get up on those logs if he wants a little warmer. I decided to take the one block out. It was just taking up too much room. I got his hammock in there, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Sorry I didn't get the background on there, but I'll try and do an update video for you there. As far as the humidity goes, I mean, it kind of went up a little bit at first, but it's back down. It's around 54 again, but it was back down around 50. So overall, I mean, it raised the humidity about 10%, which isn't terrible. Considering it's still quite moist, I fully expect this stuff to dry out in a day or two, and that humidity level should go back down. Yeah, it packed kind of nice. It's a good texture. I mean, he seems to like it. There he goes, up on his hammock already. He misses his old hammock. But now he's not going to spend the whole day over there because he's got to come back over to his rock if he wants to bask. So already he's using his full cage. I might put a rock or two here in the front. I'm not sure yet. But I have some mint and basil to plant. I'll plop those in somewhere, just give it a little color. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it looks really natural. It doesn't look like a desert. But I mean, if you go bioactive, you know, any kind of dirt substrate, it's not going to look like a desert anyway. It doesn't have to look like a desert. He doesn't know the difference. But it does kind of look like a forest, and it's dry, and it has all the heat that he needs. So I think he will be just fine in this. So yeah, I would suggest, if you're going to use the Eco Earth, I would suggest getting the dry bag mix that's already made and it's dry, because this stuff does save you quite a bit of money. I think I paid $6.50 for a pack of 3 bricks, and you have to put them in water. I put them in water around Tuesday, and I had a dehumidifier running right beside it and a box fan sort of blowing on it. Day and night, went down, mixed it up a couple times a day. Of course, it would dry out on top, but then as you dig it up, it would be very moist underneath. I did that. Today's Saturday, so, and there he goes. He's gonna dig. You gonna dig a hole, Beardy? But yeah, that was about 5 days worth of drying, and it's still kind of moist. I mean, I don't know that you're going to get it completely dry unless you have some kind of heat source to really get a hot, dry air going in there. But it's a little bit moist, but like I said, his top's already starting to dry out. And it's okay. He's shedding right now anyhow. So it's probably good there's a little bit of moisture in there. But, you know, the dry pre-made mix The bag is completely dry to start with, so that might be a little bit better to go. But I didn't see any real dust problems or humidity problems so far, but I will give you an update and let you know how I make out. So for now, there's my setup. Alright, I just had to show you guys this. This is Beardy's first night in his new enclosure. He's dug himself into a nice little bed under his cave. I didn't put him down there or anything. I left him on his rock. I think it's totally awesome. He's loving the new substrate.